Did you drink your
No.
caffeine? What?
No.
You're supposed to drink it on shoot days.
In this video, we're going to talk about the major regrets in moving to Idaho and give you some tips on how to avoid those mistakes. So let's get into it. All right, so we've helped hundreds of people relocate to Idaho, and the biggest thing they say is, man, I wish we would have done a little bit more research. And the reason why I say that is, yes, we've helped families move to this area. They absolutely love it. But on occasion, we help people relocate to this area because a different part of Idaho, which they thought was going to be the spot, turns out it wasn't. For instance, we moved a family down here from northern Idaho. They left California, went to the mountain area of Idaho because of like Coeur d'Alene and what they see in Coeur d'Alene and how beautiful it is. But wow, they had no idea how much snow it got. And so they're like, we do not want to live in this much snow. And so they came down to the Treasure Valley. Eastern Idaho is a different animal as well. That's where the heart of the farmland is in Idaho. That's where you're going to see a lot of the crops, potatoes. We do have corn here, but a lot of the corn, the fields, all that is in Eastern Idaho. But if you're looking for Eastern Idaho, you want that, lifestyle, just be prepared. You're going to have those winters as well. Like Eastern Idaho gets nailed with winter, don't you think?
Yeah, so if you're looking for kind of more of that lifestyle, kind of more of the farmland area, you'll want to go to Idaho Falls, Pocatello, but just know that there's going to be a little bit more of a harsher winter.
Yeah, and those two areas are great. In Eastern Idaho, you do have BYU Idaho, so you have a great college town. A lot of kids go to Eastern Idaho for school. You have that in Rexburg, Idaho, which is north of Idaho Falls, which is a little bit of a smaller town, really small town, beautiful. You also have in Pocatello, you have Idaho State University. A lot of kids roll out to Idaho State, and that's great too because you're not too far from Salt Lake City. You're about an hour and a half, so if you need an international flight, an airport, and you're moving to Eastern Idaho, it might be a great opportunity for you to move there. Also, you can kick over to the beautiful Bear Lake, which is the Caribbean of the West, and you're not too far from that either. But that is a completely different lifestyle, and if that's what you want, that's great. But if you want to kind of come in closer to, the Boise area,
a little less urban, or a little less rural.
A little less rural.
Yeah, but don't forget about Twin Falls. Twin Falls is about 2 hours from Boise. You're gonna have all those amenities you really need. But it's a little bit more isolated, like there's not a lot around it, but it's also right there at Shoshone Falls, which is the Niagara Falls of the West.
We got the Caribbean of the West and Niagara Falls of the West.
I mean, seriously. But just north of Twin Falls is Sun Valley, which has the world famous skiing.
That's where all the hottie toddy goes.
Yeah, like kind of where the stars
go. Pinky, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds rather fanciful for me.
Okay, so then that leaves kind of like the Treasure Valley, the Boise area, which is, my favorite because you get less winter, you get great sunshine, and you kind of have amenities right out your front door.
It's definitely the most urban.
Yeah.
So Boise is the capital of the state, so you're gonna have the most amenities, I think, here. So.
Oh, definitely.
And also, even within the Treasure Valley, there are different areas that you want to be in. There's going to be more suburban, more urban. There's going to be some rural.
Yeah.
Right? So even within the Treasure Valley, you got to find that right fit. So in Meridian, Boise, you're going to have more of the suburban, urban. If you got to Middleton and even though Star is growing, you're going to have that more rural, a little bit more rural feeling. And same with Kuna, even though it's growing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's part of it. The schools too, you might want to, the school districts are different. You have the Boise School District, you have the West Ada School District, you have the Middleton School District. So it really just kind of depends.
Yeah.
And it's, it happens, right? You kind of get to the wrong area. Maybe you're thinking about coming to Idaho and you're just not sure what location might be the best for you. Just reach out for a private one-on-one consultation. We're more than happy to help you out. All right, another big mistake to avoid is just doing your research on employment coming to Idaho. I think that's a real want for people who get excited about moving to Idaho and then they're looking at their job or the field they're in. They're like, how do people afford Idaho, right?
Yeah. I think you think Idaho, no one even knows where Idaho is on the map. They think it's Iowa, or Ohio. And so, they think oh, it's going to be super cheap. We're going to be able to get 20 acres for $200,000.
Right. Yep.
But we've had so much demand. And maybe at one point that was the case, but we've just like all the people have come in, have really, driven those prices up. So the demand is super high. And so people come in and they think they're going to be able to afford one thing, and there's a bit of sticker shock.
I would say that is perfect word, sticker shock, because of just how much demand we've had. And yeah, when you're looking at housing prices and you're looking at your wage, let's just take a teacher, for example, because that's where I think a lot of you feel that, and maybe in the nursing field, if you're coming from California or another high paying state, and you're like, man, yeah, I can roll into Idaho, keep that salary, the cost of living is gonna be less overall. And then you realize what the wages are here, and you're just like, what in the world? What are we doing,
I don't get paid enough for this.
Yeah.
But what's interesting though is people still do it and they love it. And they say, Greg, I don't think I'd ever go back, even if I was making that same salary. And so, that says something.
Well, the whole point is you just have to make sure you're doing your homework on how much you're going to be able to make and how much the housing prices will be. So it's worth coming here. It's just making sure you get in that right price point, and we can help you out with that. So.
Yeah, and we've had clients come out this way and they've changed career fields altogether, and it's just been fantastic. Another mistake that people make when moving to Idaho is they just don't embrace the Idaho lifestyle. It is so awesome.
Yeah, Idaho really has so much to offer, but I think sometimes people come from maybe bigger cities, so we don't maybe have all the fast food that people want. We don't have Crate and Barrel yet, which I hope we do get it someday. Oh. We don't have IKEA.
No, but a lot of people don't like IKEA.
Okay, but also people might be wanting to go to, let's say, shows and museums. And kind of that culture, and we do have some of that. We definitely do.
I think we have quite a bit.
We do. We have the Shakespeare Festival.
Yes.
We have those plays that come to Morrison Center.
The art festival in Hyde Park that just wrapped up.
Yeah, so we do have a lot of things, but I think people kind of expect more.
Yeah, they're used to it. Yeah. They're used to it. And so when you move to Idaho, you just think, oh yeah, so many people are in Idaho. I hear it's awesome. Let's go. And you don't have that.
Right. But you really have to embrace the Idaho lifestyle, which is more of the outdoors.
The outdoors, you either have to be a Bronco fan, a Boise Bronco fan, or an Idaho Vandals fan.
Oh, that's a good point. We don't have professional sports teams, right? So that's kind of different than a lot of states.
Yeah.
So we do have those, minor league baseball, the Hawks, and those college teams, but we don't have the professional sports.
Yeah, which could be a want, but it also kind of keeps it, it kind of makes it unique here. Yeah. Because we don't have that.
Well, it's we really do, even though Boise and the Treasure Valley is really growing, I think we're still maintaining kind of that small, small town lifestyle.
Yeah, and I would add to this whole embrace Idaho lifestyle, people comment, they say it's just a slower pace. People drive slower. They go the speed limit. They stop at a four-way stop sign and wait for everyone to go. So I think that takes some getting used to, and people are friendly. I've said this in videos in the past that, when you are going to check out your groceries or picking up your prescription medication, people talk to you, and it's normal, and that's just a polite thing to do here in Idaho. And that's kind of the Idaho lifestyle, where you wave to someone because you saw them and you smile at them, or you stop and pet their dog because you're walking next to them and you love dogs. That's just Idaho.
Yeah, it really is.
So I think it's really interesting because when people come here, they want to just get out and explore. And that's the big draw to Idaho, because you have so much. And I think a lot of people spend their money on outdoor equipment, whether that's paddle boards to do the river and lakes, the camping gear.
Yeah, the ski passes up to Bogus Basin or Tamarack or Brundage, all the ski resorts and things like that. Yeah, there's so much to offer in the outdoors.
Yeah.
And even if you don't do all those things, you can still drive. You can still drive and enjoy the beauty of the river, up Highway 55.
Yeah, there's so much. All the hiking that's available. You have the Boise Grand Slam, which Survey Day is a great hike, one of my favorites. But if you want even more, if you want to go for it, Mount Bora is the ultimate. It's the highest peak in Idaho, I think. I'm pretty sure, actually. Yeah.
Let's fact check that.
Okay, fact check me on that.
Let us.
But the hiking is out of this world here in Idaho. You have the sawtooth, so you could go camping. I mean, it's so much. And when people get to Idaho, they just, they want to embrace it, but they don't sometimes, and it's sad.
But what about for the non-hikers? What about pickleball?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big pickleball community here.
Is there?
Yeah, there's the Flying Pickle, which is an inside one, so you can play all year round. And there's different parks throughout that have pickleball courts. Plus, there are 2 more indoor pickleball courts that are coming here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
there's, and it's a really friendly community. Like I've heard in another state, like just it's not that friendly. Like, but here it's like you play all levels, and it's just a really friendly community.
Well, that's Idaho. That's Idaho. So everyone's friendly. It does get cold here in the winter. So those indoor courts are a great option. We have the tennis center in Eagle, that's indoor. Yep. So you have a lot of stuff to do. You shouldn't have to, you shouldn't have to sit inside.
No.
No. Another mistake that people make is they forget that Idaho is in high desert, and it does get all 4 seasons, especially a winter season.
Right. There's winter here.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think it depends on what part of Idaho you move to that will determine the severity of the winters.
Yeah, so it's going to vary, in the different regions, right? So in the mountainous, like McCall, up in Coeur d'Alene, Moscow, Idaho, it's going to have your heavier snowfall. And then also on the east side, it's going to be heavier too. The Treasure Valley is definitely going to be your most mild winter. And so that's what really draws people here is that mild winter.
One thing I do love and appreciate about the winters in the Boise area is you get a lot of sunshine and blue sky. It's cold, but it's still blue sky, and it's the most crisp blue I've ever seen in that winter months, and it's really, really pretty time of year here in Idaho. But you do have the inversion as well that everyone's like, which to me is just like, it just feels overcast, not like I can't breathe.
Each winter is a little different. So some winters it's like kind of, I've noticed like some winters are kind of bad where I'm like, oh, I got to get up to the mountain so I can see the sun, get above the cloud cover. But then there's others like in the past few years, to me, the inversion, maybe I'm just used to it, but the inversion doesn't feel that bad or long. It could just be, a few weeks at a time. So
Yeah, so overall, there's a lot of things that you should learn about Idaho, but anytime you want to reach out to us for that private consultation, we'd love to chat with you and learn more about your needs and goals. So there's a lot of things you can learn from our channel about Idaho as relocating to Idaho. In this video, we covered the mistakes that people have made when coming to Idaho, the location, the jobs, the recreation, the Idaho lifestyle, all the sticker shock that people feel. But if you really want to learn a little bit more, then you should watch this next video about the most dangerous neighborhoods to avoid.
Right there.